What's going on, everybody? It's your boy KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN here, bringing you guys another Black Clover video. And today I wanted to do something here on KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN that we've done over on Naruto Explained via the Strongest in Naruto series, which is today we're going to look at the collective power of all the Black Bulls and Black Clover. I think we all can agree that the Black Bulls are some of the most memorable characters in the series. However, for all the royal screw-ups that they made in the past, Yami has very quietly collected some of the most dangerous wizards to ever exist in the Clover Kingdom when you put them together as a collective. Fighting the Black Bulls as a collective is a suicide mission, a bigger one than one might think. And this video is going to prove how strong they are and how strong one has to be to handle all the Black Bulls at once, because it is nowhere near as easy as Lucifer made it seem like when he fought against the Black Bulls in the manga. While we have some characters like Asta and Yami who are insanely strong, it's worth noting that the Black Bulls are partially deadly because they have multiple wizards who are arcane stage in terms of magic, which is magic so powerful that it goes in the very face of the standard conventions. On top of that, you have two Black Bulls who have the power of devils in the form of Noct and Asta. However, that's just the tip of the iceberg when you look at the Black Bulls, because three of them have elemental magic in the form of Noelle with water, Magna with fire, and Luck with lightning. And while the other Black Bulls don't have magic akin to that, they're still very dangerous. But these are just some of the Black Bulls I want to highlight it up front before we dive deeper in depth with each individual character. So let's start running through the powers and the strength of the different Black Bulls. So starting things off, is only right that we start with the most unique of the Black Bulls, Asta himself, our main character. Being the only member of the Black Bulls who doesn't have traditional magic, but through his power of anti-magic and his Devil Union modes, Asta is the biggest threat that we have to discuss right off top. Though he started out with very low expectations, lower than Asta's height, Asta has attained the rank of a first-class senior magic knight, and he's more than earned it. His anti-magic allows him to nullify magic, which alone makes him an arcane stage mage. His anti-magic sword is already dangerous enough on its own, but when you realize that Asta has refined his sword fighting style into a better honed form of fighting, being able to wield dual swords and combining his swordplay with his key sensory abilities, Asta in a sword fight is a very dangerous enemy to face. Even when you take away his anti-magic sword, his raw physical strength allows him to punch through solid objects like rock walls, which is the byproduct of him doing those 1,000 push-ups on one hand and working out every single day. He's been shown moving so fast that people thought the speed was unnatural for a human to achieve, because the speeds that Asta was moving at required magical assistance. And even when you factor in some of the things going on in the manga right now, where Asta's currently training and learning more about ki and learning more about the power of 10, Asta's just getting stronger and faster as time goes on. When he uses his Devil Union mode, Asta gets a major power up. Initially, Asta had a time limit of 5 minutes, but since learning Devil Union, Asta has extended it to 10 minutes. His anti-magic power shoots through the roof when using this mode, and when he focuses the Devil Union power on one specific body part, he can make that one body part stronger, but he can also spread the effect evenly throughout his entire body. We've seen Asta use multiple swords throughout Black Clover so far. The Demon Slayer sword was one of the first ones we saw him being able to use a flat side of the blade to deflect spells, and after training in the Heart Kingdom, Asta's been shown being able to summon the sword to him even when he's a good distance away, and being able to control it to a point where he can ride it through the air, and Asta can extend the blade itself. The Demon Dweller's sword shoots off a slash of anti-magic, which allows him to slice through magic from long range. The sword can also take the magic from those who are around him, allowing Asta to shoot off slashes to have the magical attributes that he borrowed. The Demon Destroyer sword can generate anti-magic tendrils that can absorb and remove the effects of spells and even stop reincarnation magic. Asta also has possession of Yami's katana. However, let's dive even deeper here. The fact that Asta's biggest weakness is actually his biggest strength makes him a problem to deal with. For instance, anyone disarming Asta of his problematic swords runs into the problem of they can't pick up his swords to keep them away from him, because the swords would drain them of their magic instantaneously, on top of the swords themselves being extremely heavy. The Witch Queen said herself, the anti-magic runs through the Demon Slayer sword at all times, which is a headache, and makes Asta the only magic knight who can actually use this sword, which again, on top of having anti-magic, is extremely heavy to lift. On top of all of that, Asta lacks magic, which makes him extremely hard to detect. If you can sense ki like Asta and Yami, that's great, but that's just one major exception when it comes to being able to sense Asta. Magic detection is something that wouldn't allow you to track Asta in a battle with the Black Bulls, which means you have to keep your eye specifically on Asta because his anti-magic makes him the most dangerous of the group. Otherwise, his anti-magic would have been your downfall, or if Asta hit you with one of those bone-crunching punches of his. Asta also has his Black Asta form. When Asta makes the anti-magic form from his sword circulate through his body, Asta undergoes his transformation. The form clears Asta's head and allows him to hone in on mana, on top of the normal stat boost that he gets, which led to the Witch Queen state that all the magic is meaningless against this version of Asta, and the speed that he has with just one wing is insanely fast. Now, coming up next, we have Noelle Silva, another one of the Black Bull's success stories, because she's gotten so strong that you have some people who argue she's actually surpassed her mother in power, and there's certainly a strong argument that can be made for it. While she's only a third-class junior magic knight, Noelle is still extremely powerful to the point you shouldn't let her rank fool you one bit if you're in this battle. Again, there are arguments she surpassed her mother, or at least reached her mother's level, and for comparison, Leona, someone incredibly powerful herself, considers Noelle's mother to be stronger than her. When we first meet Noelle, she was only able to do simple water magic spells like shooting off water balls, and she had terrible aim, and she was absolutely horrendous when it came to controlling her magic power. But Noelle kept working at it, and over the years, the fruits of her labor really became clear. Even before we get to the most current stuff in the manga, you see signs that Noelle, she had something special about her because she got in one of the best shots on Veto during their fight. Training in the Heart Kingdom has also given her the ability to use true water magic, and she's able to make her Valkyrie armor that's made up of water, and it gives her a lance that she can use in battle. When she goes into her mermaid form, Noelle gets even more speed than she previously had in her Valkyrie armor. In the Spade arc, we saw her use spirit magic and attain Saint Stage Valkyrie armor, which makes her an effective counter to devil power and allows her to fight off devils at a higher level with the hope of actually being able to win against some of the stronger devils out there. Even without the Saint Stage Valkyrie armor, Noelle is very strong. By default, she's a noble, so she possesses an enormous amount of magic power, and we've seen Noelle's magic power is quite stronger than a few nobles that we've seen, being able to shake the underwater temple and use magic strong enough that even the elves have to at least acknowledge her immense magic power. Her Sea Dragon Cradle allows her to transport her comrades in a spear of water, but her Sea Dragon War shoots out a water dragon with teeth that are sharp enough to attack the enemy, rip off their arms, and bust through walls, and with control, she can make it change direction. Noelle, in her first battle against Vanessa, did pretty good given the circumstances, but after a bit of training, she was able to fight with Magicula for a pretty decent amount of time during the Fade Kingdom raid arc, though Noelle was using her Saint Valkyrie armor in this fight for the time being before the dress itself came undone, though in the end, without going into spoilers, she was able to help finish off Magicula, which is a huge win for Noelle. The underdog has developed into one of the top dogs through all of her training and through all of her battles, and by far, this makes her one of my favorite characters in the series. Now up next, we have the lovable foodie Charmy. Charmy uses cotton magic to create and control cotton. Using this power, she can carry her allies using cotton magic, making her a great assist in battle. This power also allows her to create sheep, which can be used in a few different ways. She can use sheep in an assist fashion to make the sheep's turn into cooks that can make food that can be consumed, and when the food is consumed, it restores the magic power of those who eat it, i.e. Charmy is a walk-in sensu bean factory that if we were in a video game, she'd basically be able to replenish your magic health bar as soon as you eat her food. The cotton creation magic can also be used to make a giant ram that can be used to attack her enemy. In the manga, when Charmy fought against the Vine Mage, she destroyed the Vine Mage with no difficulty at all. Her battle power can also go up depending on her mood, so the angrier she gets, especially when you threaten to take her food or you, God forbid, eat her food, the stronger she can get. Charmy also can use true cotton magic, which can generate and manipulate real cotton. When she uses Glutton's Banquet, things really get serious here. Charmy generates a giant wolf with a fork and a knife, which are then used by the wolf to stab and consume magic spells, and the consumed magic is turned into energy for Charmy in order to use, which in turn can make her attacks even stronger. Charmy can also also use cotton magic to bind and restrain her targets should she choose to do so. She might be cute and lovable, but at the end of the day, charmy is gonna be a problem. Next, we have Finral, who despite the way that Yami uses him, is more than just a walking Uber driver to the nearest bathroom to find a toilet. Finral's spatial magic in a group battle is just downright wicked to deal with because of how he can use his portals during a battle. The biggest catch with this power is that Finral needs to already have seen the location that he wants to send a person to, which means if he hasn't been to a location before, technically he can't send you there. Finral can also teleport back attacks at his enemy using spatial magic, which makes him an even bigger headache to deal with because this is a creative way to fight. He can also use spatial magic in a honing way where the target can be followed, and when it makes contact with the target, it forcibly teleports them to another location. The only real drawback to the spell is that it's really slow, but giving a battle setting, as long as Finral's spell can be hidden amongst all the chaos of battle, it has a chance to be effective. His battles in the Spade Kingdom show that Finral is actually quite the assistant battle. He's come a long way since Asta, Finral, and Vanessa were fighting against Veto. In the Spade Kingdom arc, it led to that awesome moment where he fights alongside his brother Longrus when Longrus and Yuno were fighting against a very triggered Xenon. In this battle, Finral used mana method to amp up the speed of the spell, and he and Longrus were able to speed things up so fast that Longrus was able to land a really good blow on Xenon, but given Longrus' spatial magic wasn't able to erase a double heart, that was the only real reason they didn't come away with the W. Up next, we have Vanessa, who despite always being drunk, is actually a real bit of a problem when you're fighting against the Black Bulls, something that becomes clear when we get towards the end of the Spade Kingdom raid arc, because she has that nasty power to change fates, which makes her an arcane stage mage. But with the power so overpowered like this and so broken, it does consume an enormous amount of magic power, which is only fitting because this power should come at a cost, in particular when it's being actively used to change the fates of those that she cares about. So in this case, that connection would be the Black Bulls, and it makes killing one of the Black Bulls very difficult because Vanessa can just rewrite that reality. Vanessa has been shown using her thread magic in order to assist in battle, using the Darkweave spell in order to catch falling comrades or to be able to bind her enemies in a web of threads. Vanessa is also shown using thread magic to move her allies around the battlefield like she did when she sent Asta through Finral's portals when they were fighting against Veto. Up next, we have the captain of the Black Bulls himself, Yami. As a Magic Knight captain, we know that Yami is just powerful just off that rank alone. His dark magic allows him to generate and control darkness and channel it through his katana and absorb other forms of magic into darkness, and due to the nature of his magic, Yami is an arcane stage mage. He's able to channel dark magic through his sword and send waves of it at his enemy and use dark magic to make a barrier. Yami is just a Chad, made clear when he was able to withstand Dante's gravity magic, and then again when he fought alongside Noct against the King of the Devils, Lucifero himself, and Yami was getting in a few good blows when fighting alongside Noct. His dark magic dimensional slash allows him to cut through spatial magic, which is an insane feat in itself. His dark deep cloak black blade allows him to inflict enough noticeable damage on Lucifero during the chapter 324, and his dark magic death thrust is able to fire off a highly concentrated blast strong enough that it can, with a single thrust, blow apart the core of a person's body, as we saw at the battle with Dante. Up next, we have the vice captain of the Black Bulls, Noct, who just like Asta has the powers of a devil and uses the powers of shadow magic, which allows him to manipulate shadows, move between the shadows, and is only really limited to being able to access shadows that are outside his defined range and those who are dead. So if a certain character gets sent off the continent, Noct can't sense their shadow and move through it. Noct possesses a massive amount of magic power even without his devil's power because Noct was born as a noble. Noct has 4 different mid-ranking devils in his possession, which means he has multiple different devil union modes that give him different powers and abilities. One devil union mode is a suit of shadow armor that takes on the appearance of a castle and gives him enormous durability to the point where he can withstand gravity magic. Another devil union gives him the ability to form a ninja-like appearance that has cat ears and horns, but this form also gives him insane agility and enhanced speed, and it allows him to peer through the shadows, which allows him to spy on enemies throughout the shadows themselves. The other devil union he has access to allows him to make clones out of the shadow that have dog-like faces, and it can mimic his ki, which allows him to hide in plain sight, and the clones have enough destructive power to destroy stone with their punches, and they can travel travel through the shadows and they don't go away until Noct either undoes the spell or he's defeated. The other Devil Union form he has is a bird-like form that can make a rooster-shaped shell of shadows that shoots off a loud sound that can stop anyone who hears it in their tracks, and is powerful enough to paralyze even high-ranking devils. And that only scratches the surface, because we've seen him combine more than one devil together to make a Devil Union mode that makes use out of two devils, making him an even bigger problem to deal with than ever before. Like, for instance, in one version, he can summon two large dog heads from the shadows to bite his target and make chains to restrain his target. When he's fighting alongside Yami, he's able to make the children's playground Mana Zone, which makes use of his shadow magic and Yami's dark magic, and that's enough of a headache that even Lucifero got annoyed with it when he had to fight against it. Then you have Ghost, another first-class junior magic knight. His mirror magic allows him to use mirror-based spells in a variety of ways, like reflecting light, making light beams, and even making mirror copies of himself or other people or other objects around him. Ghost, if we're being really honest, has a lot of potential when you look at his magic, and if he put as much effort into his training as he did with this obsession with his sister, Ghost would be one of the strongest magic knights in this current era. Don't believe me? Look at some of his spells. His reflect ray shoots off countless light rays at the enemy through the mirrors, and it doesn't need any gestures needed to use it, which frees up his hands for other forms of combat if need be, and the destructive force can break down solid objects. Reflect refrain allows him to manifest several dozens of mirrors that can reflect light off of each other and strike the target with increased damage when it does so. When he uses real double in combination with this, he can manifest twice as many mirrors in order to reflect light off of it in order to make the attack output even stronger. Speaking of, real double allows him to summon a clone of himself, a clone reflection of himself at that, from the mirror world, and allows him to use all the magic spells that he's already capable of using. Large reflect refrain takes even more magic, but due to the larger size of the mirrors, he's able to do even more magic using the spell. The same is true with the large reflect ray, which manifests a massive mirror to shoot out a massive ray of light through the mirror and at the target, in the expense for even more magic being used. Full reflection enlarges the size of the mirror to rival that of the magic spell coming at him and reflect it back at the caster. Due to Ghost being a noble, he's got a massive amount of magic power at his disposal, which when you really factor in his magic tool of an eye, which is the mirror placed in his left eye socket, he can use stored up magic in order to beef up his spells, which when you add in his ability to seemingly teleport in front of his mirror, he's a very nasty boy to try tagging in a battle due to how fast his movement is when he's using the spell. Our boy has grown more powerful throughout the series, evident by him even being able to briefly fight against Dante and then assist in the battle with Lucifero. Again, even though these are still brief, those are still signs of his progression. Moving on, we even have the weird but so charming in his own way, Gordon, another first-class junior magic knight whose magic is poison magic, which gives him the power to generate and manipulate poisons, which can be used in the forms of liquids, so they can be used as gases. But Gordon also has found a way to use poison magic that can be used as a medicine to boost up the powers of his allies. Some of his spells, when used, they can eat away at living objects like plants, corroding at them when they make the impact, which makes Gordon one of those magic knights you have to look out for in a group battle, because with those poisons, he can be extremely deadly. We've seen Gordon form a ball of poison in his hands and fire it off at the enemy, and use poison-based curse magic, which can have long-lasting effects to the spells, in one case making poison badgers attack his target, and the jaws of those badgers are strong enough to bite through magically fortified corpses. The thing about Gordon, due to his magic, one could argue he's constantly holding back his true strength when dealing with humans so as to not kill them due to the nature of his magic, which makes a scenario like this with a potentially bloodlusted Gordon an absolute problem. Then you have Gray, who is a third-class junior magic knight who everyone originally thought possessed transformation magic, but Owen reveals later on in the manga that her magic is actually transmutation magic. Once he sees that Gray actually healed Ghost, his tissues were more than just healed, but rather they are reassembled altogether. The power to disassemble a substance from one property and reassemble it into another property, while also not being limited to physical objects, but also magical objects as well, makes her dangerous in a group setting, and she's an arcane stage mage for an absolute reason, because Gray can permanently change non-magical substances. While we do see Gray use transformation magic magic to change her appearance and change the appearance of objects. Transmutation magic is what makes her truly special, but in a battle setting, given she can transform into her allies, it opens up the door for some real misdirection scenes. Now, Henry is a 5th class junior magic knight and can only live within the Black Bull's hideout and has to siphon all small bits of magic from the others for the sake of his body. However, his recombination magic has grown in its use in battle since the anime has ended. The battle with Dante had our boy Henry reeling, but when it came time to fight against Lucifero, Henry was able to step up to the plate in a major way in order to help the Black Bulls. Since Henry is a nobleman, he also possesses an enormous amount of magic power, and whatever magic power he doesn't use to maintain his body could be stored inside of him to boost up his magic power. When he uses the Ultra Giant Mega Bull, he's able to make an enormous bull out of the structure of the Black Bull hideout, which can be equipped with transmutated materials, but the drawback is that this requires an enormous amount of magic power to use and maintain. But the benefit is that it's almost like a Power Ranger Megazord, where he's able to make a cockpit for his allies inside of the house in order to assist in battle while staying protected inside of the house, allowing him to shoot off cannon blasts of magic across all the body structures. When he manipulates the Raging Black Bull, he's able to shoot off rocket launcher punchers at his enemy and summon the fist back to his main body as well. Now, moving on to Luck, we have one of my personal favorite Black Bulls due to his crazy nature and how the man is always ready for the smoke with somebody who's strong. Though he was born a commoner, Luck is really strong and is shown in the way that he was able to defeat a noble very young in his lifetime. Luck's lightning magic is pretty OP. Lightning magic allows him to manipulate magic, and after being controlled by an elf, Luck's skill with lightning magic increased, and after training in the Heart Kingdom, he was able to generate real lightning for attacks by making use of mana method, which is the way that the Heart Kingdom shapes runes from natural mana and creates true magic, which in turn creates true lightning magic that generates real lightning for him to use, which is a really good boost in power. By using creation magic, Luck is able to shape objects into lightning objects like the Thunder God boots that increases speed and jumping ability to leap over long distance and increases kicking power. The Thunder God gloves are clawed gloves of lightning that amp up his hand-to-hand combat, which for somebody like Luck, that's absolutely overkill because he's pretty much an expert when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. On top of that, Luck has insane mana sensory abilities, being able to sense some long distances to the point where even Yami has praised him at one point. For Luck, his magic power is nothing to sniff at. Both as a child when he was a commoner, he was able to beat a noble, and as a magic knight who now is at the level of a first stage mage and can use natural mana to make even more powerful lightning spells, Luck is a problem. Up next, it's only right that we talk about Magna, the rival for Luck. Now, I'll be the first one to admit, when we first got introduced to this character, I thought its design was cool, but I wasn't feeling Magna as a character, and over time, his magic power seemed less and less impressive, but boy did our boy get an upgrade in that battle with Dante in the manga, and it made me eat my words because out of all the Black Bulls, Magna might be the one with the biggest glow up and success story. Magna's magic is fire magic, which concentrates in his hands and he unleashes in attacks, oftentimes throwing fireballs like baseballs. However, this man isn't a one-trick pony when it comes to his fire magic and throwing those balls. The fire magic exploding buckshot allows him to create multiple fireballs at once and throw them as a buckshot of attacks over a large-scale area that makes back-to-back explosions that is sure to give the enemy hell to deal with. Keeping in line with the buckshot spells, his prison kill buckshot is another fire magic spell that shoots off a volley of fire magic blasts that create fire that doesn't go away, which can also be left behind for other magic spells to be used. Magna can even use a spell that makes some Boruto fans go, wait a minute, this sounds kind of familiar, because he can make his fireballs disappear, which when they disappear, they attack from another side of you, which means if you're fighting Magna without being a sensor, you're gonna be screwed. On top of that, Magna also has the time bomb explosion scatter shot, which allows for multiple fireballs to be thrown at once with a timed explosion, which is just another way that Magna is very deadly in battle. Finally, we have my favorite attack that Magna has, which is the Soul Chain Deathmatch. It's a spell that I love the most because it's the most Chad spell that Magna has, and it's the most chat spell we have in the entire series. First, by using runes drawn all over his body, Magna throws a fireball at his enemy, and when it blows up, it makes a magic circle, which makes a chain that connects to Magna's chest and his enemy's chest, splitting the magic power equally, and the spell can only be ended when one person falls unconscious, and you can't pull the chain out, otherwise it sends your brain into a bout of insanity. With this one spell, Magna was able to defeat a transformed Dante, which is very impressive given how Dante was able to push Asta and Yami when Dante fought them earlier in the story. Then we have Nero, who has sealing magic, which allows her to open and close objects and seal people in the objects. It's for this reason that Nero is an arcane stage mage. Nero can also use her magic to heal wounds. When she fights to assist others, we've seen good things happen, like when she combined her sealing magic with Zora's trap magic in order to help him fight with the Black Bulls when they fought against Lucifero. Nero can also use mana method to make her sealing magic even more intense. Finally, we're closing things off with Zora, another personal favorite of mine, the trickster of the Black Bulls. Zora possesses both ash magic and trap magic. With ash magic, he can generate and manipulate ash, but his trap magic is where we really see his high IQ at work, because some of the traps that he makes with his magic are pretty creative, and due to him having a high amount of magic power, he's able to draw multiple trap spells in a short window of time. He can also use ash magic in order to let his enemies know where his traps are located at. The beauty of his trap magic is that while it does take a lot of time to set up, it's so very worth it, because we've seen him use traps that take time to set up that can take magic in and then fire it back twice as strong, and he's even used trap magic on his own body. If someone like Asta's around, they can just hit the attack that came out of the trap magic circle, knock it back into it, and then the attack now fires back 4 times as powerful because it doubled, which makes you realize in a team setting, Zora is deadly with the right people on his team. Even without Asta, his magic is good enough that even the King of the Devils got caught off guard by it, making Zora someone who might not be the strongest, but still a headache to deal with in battle, especially a team battle like this, especially if Zora has prep time. That being said, you can see now why fighting all the Black Bulls at once is an absolute suicide mission, because each of them have insane powers when working together that can make for some really deadly combinations, which makes you appreciate just how Yami very quietly over time put together the strongest squad in the entire Clover Kingdom. Who is your favorite Black Bull, and how do you rank the Black Bulls? While you think that over, click